There's a study done in 1994 on some psychology students to find out how well they could predict how long it would take them to finish their thesis. The average guess of a student was 33.9 days. Now this one's going to be interactive, so I want you to do something very similar. First, think about whatever goal it is you have within your agency or within your business. Do you want to hit a certain revenue number? Do you want to achieve a certain lifestyle? Do you want to give back to your family and do some big thing like that? First, think about what that thing is. Once you have that thing, and feel free to pause the video, once you have that thing, the next thing I want you to do is take an estimate and think, how long will it take before I can achieve that goal? When do I think I will actually hit it? Again, maybe you want to automate your SMMA. That was one of my biggest goals, which I recently achieved. So again, pause if you need to, but otherwise, once you have that, you can write it down somewhere if you want to. But now there are a few main questions. One, who are Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky? And two, what is the planning fallacy? And three, how does it apply to your SMMA? So Daniel Kahneman is a psychologist and an economist, and Amos Tversky was a cognitive and mathematical psychologist. They worked together on the planning fallacy, which they proposed in 1979. Now, back to the psychology students for a minute. So 37 students were asked to predict how long it would take them to finish their thesis. And again, the average guess or estimate was 33.9 days. Again, think about how long your guess is for hitting whatever that goal is. Maybe days, weeks, months, years, depending on the goal, depending on you, depending on how long you've been in business. So the students were also asked to guess how long they would take if A, everything went perfectly, and B, if everything went horribly wrong. Now, if everything went perfectly, they guessed on average it would take 27.4 days. And if everything went wrong, they guessed on average it would take 48.6 days. So best case scenario, 27.4 days. They were guessing it would take about 33.9, and worst case scenario, they guessed it would take 48.6 days to finish their thesis. So I want you to think how long it actually ended up taking these people to do this. And while you think about that, I'm going to give you another example. There's another study asking students how long they thought it would take to finish their personal academic projects. Wikipedia says, whatever that means. Now in this case, they were asked for 3 probabilities for when they'd be done. So they were prompted to give a date or a timeline for when they thought there was a 50% chance they'd be done. They were asked for a date for when they think they'd be, so there's a 75% chance they'd be done, and then a date where they thought there's a 99% chance I'll be done my projects by this date. So for example, maybe at 25 days, one student thought, there's a 50% chance I'll actually be done in 25 days. And then maybe at 33 days, they thought, there's a 75% chance I'll be done in 33 days. And then at 41 days, they're thinking, there's like a 99% chance I'm done within 41 days. So once again, and this is where you might want to write this down because it's becoming a lot, but I invite you to come up with how long you think it'll take you to reach that goal. How long do you think, or at what date or point in time do you think there will be a 50% chance you've hit it? And then also, once you're done that, at what date or at what point in time or how long from now do you think it'll be before there's a 75% chance, a 3 in 4 chance you reached or hit that goal? And then finally come up with how long you think it'll be before, or what date you think it'll be that there's a 99% chance you hit that goal. Again, feel free to pause for all those things. So what you're going to find is that your SMMA or your social media marketing agency isn't very different from these students. Now, finding out who exactly you are in this is a bit of a difficult thing to do, and I'll touch on that in a second, but let's get into the results. So the first project, 37 students were asked how long it would take them to finish their thesis. Best case scenario, on average, they guessed that it would take them 27.4 days. Normal case scenario, they're guessing on average 33.9 days. Worst case scenario, 48.6 days. How long it actually took the average student to complete their thesis was 55.5 days. So everybody was way off, almost by 100%. And only 30% of people actually finished their thesis when they thought they would. So keep that in mind. 30% of people actually hit the numbers that they thought they would hit, or they hit the timeline they thought they would hit, meaning 67% of people, or rather 70% of people did not. Now for the second experiment, again, where the students were asked, at what date do you think there's a 50% chance you'll be done your personal projects, 75% chance, and 99% chance? So of the students who gave a date for when they thought there was a 50% chance they'd be done, only 13% of people actually hit that and were done on that date. Only 19% of people completed their projects by the date that they thought there was a 75% chance they'd be done by. And less than half, only 45% of people in total, only 45% of people were actually done their project within the amount of time that they thought there was a 99% chance they'd be done. So again, basically everybody was very wrong. This is the planning fallacy in effect. So what is the planning fallacy and how does it relate to your SMMA more specifically? The planning fallacy essentially states that people are overly optimistic for how long things are going to take them in achieving their goals. I personally experienced this in a big way in my agency over the past several years. I thought things would happen way faster than they did, and I was wrong time and time and time again until eventually I learned how to calibrate better, because it's a skill and I can talk about that in another video. Generally speaking though, I was wrong with how long I thought things would take. Maybe 10-15% of the time I'd be right, kind of like those people, the 13% who thought, there's a 50% chance I'll be done by this date. 13% of people actually hit that. That happens sometimes because there are moving goals, right? There are different goals and different types of goals, so you have multiple shots at guessing, and that's a skill that you develop. And I'll give you another example for when I was wrong. Just this year, I thought in May I was going to hit my first 100K month. It's August, still haven't hit it. I'm confident I'll hit it by end of year, but that's just, how it is. That's the planning fallacy in effect. I'll link the Wikipedia page to the planning fallacy in the description so you can read a little bit more on this if you're curious about it. But again, just keep this in mind in your agency and your SMMA. And so that's the planning fallacy, the SMMA planning fallacy.